I have condemned Charlie Kirk's assassination. I think like the only person that I could think of in an effort to be edgy that refused to do so to make a larger point about how Donald Trump should be the one lowering the temperature was Sex Pestany. Yeah. Asen posted the clip.
The Department of Justice is also investigating networks of radical left maniacs who fund, organize, fuel, and perpetrate political violence. And we think we know who many of them are. But law enforcement can only be the beginning of our response to Charlie's murder. Over the last 11 days, we have heard stories of commentators, influencers, and others in our society who greeted his assassination with sick approval, excuses, or even jubilation. You've heard that. So have I. Couldn't believe it. Some of the very same people who spent the last 8 years trying to sit in moral judgment of anyone who disagreed with them about politics suddenly started cheering for a murder. Incredible. You know the names. They're major losers, by the way. That will be proven out in a short period of time. Some of the very people who call you a hater for using the wrong pronoun were filled with glee at the killing of a father with 2 beautiful young children. And the same commentators who this week are screaming fascism over a canceled late-night TV show where the anchor had no talent and no ratings.
A lot of other people have said that too, guys. Come on. It could be anybody. He's probably talking about everything that he just described, including all the exaggerations and lies. He could mean anybody. Remember when he said influencers and commentators? He meant so many other people, I think. That's what I think he was. I'm listening to this and I don't think I think it's a lot of other people. I think it's a lot of other people. I don't know who they are, but it can't be me because I have a Trump hat.
Last week, we're implying that Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him. No side in American politics has a monopoly on disturbed or misguided people. But there's one part of our political community.
Do people think he's talking to you? I doubt he knows you. Yeah, I don't think he's talking to me. I think he's just like signaling what he's going to do to people like me. I don't think I'm on his mind. I don't think he knows who I am. I mean, a lot of prominent conservatives who do have his ear, including Elon Musk, obviously are talking about both myself and Sex Pestany as well. But I just, you never celebrated as this. It doesn't matter, brother, sister, thempers. What do you mean? Of course, that doesn't fucking mean anything. You think these guys give a shit? Yeah, you know who else never celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, did that matter? Nope.
Which believes they have a monopoly on truth, goodness, and virtue, and concludes they have also a monopoly on power, thought, and speech. Well, that's not happening anymore. We've turned that corner very quickly. Tragically, of this kind, and kind that we saw in Utah, of all places, are the eventual consequence of that kind of thinking. If speech is violence, then some are bound to conclude that violence is justified to stop speech. And we're not going to let that be justified.
Yeah, it could be anybody. Could be anybody. What the fuck? I can't tweet for some reason. I don't know what that is. It's strange. I mean, the website is broken, so that's probably the reason. There's probably nothing significant about that. But yeah, wanted to also show this.
We are
once again another incredible moment from the okay, well, it's not letting me post it. Whatever. Another incredible moment from the Charlie Kirk eulogy was when he started talking about tariffs, which I think has to be the first time tariffs have ever been mentioned in the history of eulogies. I suspect that has never happened before and most likely will never happen again. Nah, I mentioned tariffs at my grandma's funeral, Hasan. Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Just like Charlie and Erica made Turning Point hot, we are looking at a country that has the chance to attain a level like never before. Tariffs are making us rich again, richer than anybody ever thought was possible. And the only one challenging them are people that hate our country or foreign countries that are paying a price, because they did the same thing to us for years. They took advantage of us, but we're making money. We're becoming richer and richer. And we're taking care of our people better and better when we do that. And we can take care of other countries better and better. But we're doing unbelievably well. The tariffs have really been a hold. The election was big, but the tariffs, because of the election, came in. And remember, other nations do that to us. And Charlie...
The funniest part is that it's just his regular stump speech. And then he will just, like, after he's done bobbing and weaving, he'll just go, and Charlie understood that, and Charlie liked it. Charlie loved it. Charlie loved trade wars. He always said, Mr. President, I love your trade wars. That's what he told me. Wouldn't tell that to Erica, but just to me.
Money. He saw what was coming into our country, and we can use that for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of these things that we fight so hard for. And that's exactly what's happening. The numbers are incredible. When
all right, let's see what the fake news over at CNN is saying about this eulogy, and we'll also see what the real news, at Fox News is saying about the eulogy.
It feels, a little off key to be talking about this, but the fact is that you can see from the things that people were saying, not today, but other days, that the Republican Party sees this tragedy as also an opportunity to deal with a problem they have, which is that a lot of these young people who came out to vote for Donald Trump in the last election don't generally participate in midterm elections. And I think you're going to see him, used as an organized, this tragedy used as an organizing tool among some of those voters to try and bring them out. And we'll see if it materializes that way, if it works. But clearly, that I think is something that, if they're being honest, a lot of the Republican strategists are thinking.
All right, David Urban, David Axelrod, great to see you both. Thank you for your analysis. We appreciate it. And now to the third David Chalian. It is interesting because throughout the themes where this is a revival, and a lot of the speakers talked about how Charlie Kirk is now a martyr, that it's immortal. And it is true that before his death, a large swath of Americans didn't know who Charlie Kirk was. Now, likely, they do because of this. And the question is, how his legacy will continue in the conservative movement, like he was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, right where David Axelrod left off, one immediate practical way that we'll be on the lookout to see if his legacy has continued impact on the movement, is just that, keeping those folks that he brought into the process, young people specifically, to see if they can remain engaged in the process. That if that does happen for conservatives, that will be a huge part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. I do like that you referenced, Pam, the revival piece of this, because you heard the vice president say in his remarks that he's never said Jesus Christ, invoked Jesus Christ publicly as much as he has in the last 2 weeks in his public life. I do think Charlie Kirk's faith and Erica Kirk's faith was so central. I think that probably more than anything else is what kept all of these speakers pretty much on the same page, because that was so hugely a part of who they were, how Charlie Kirk lived his life, how Erica Kirk lives hers. It's so fundamental to them. And so the coursing through of Christianity through all the remarks, I think, was a helpful organizing principle for everybody that was getting up there to speak today. And I think that is probably one of the greatest tributes to Charlie Kirk that was paid today, because I think that kept everything sort of on course.
And not just the way they lived their life, but also what he encouraged of other people.
Bro, what is happening? What is going on at CNN, man? Like, y'all don't have to do Christian nationalism, you know? Like, they're doing it, but you don't have to lean into it. You don't have to be like, yeah, and Christian nationalism is actually fucking awesome. Yeah, and this legacy is going to be great. Did Barry Weiss already buy out CNN alongside CBS? What the fuck's going on?
About religion in years, and it was because of Charlie Kirk. And I think, going into this, if you talk to anyone who is close to,
they can't wait to turn into clothes too. Bro, ain't nobody in here is turning into clothes. Let's get real, okay?
That his death has some kind of religious.
They're doing the Jon Stewart bit. It's ironic. They're not doing the Jon Stewart bit. They are unironically.
They believe that was a sign that they do.
They're just presenting this as like a wonderful guy whose legacy is solidified now, and Americans are going to do spirited debate where they too will come to the conclusion that DEI is bad and black people are inferior. Like, that's what we're doing. And Islam is a sword that the left uses and presents to the neck of America to slit its throat. You know, some choice words and some cool quotes.
From Glendale, Arizona. These are the speakers memorializing Charlie Kirk.
If you feel afraid or lost, confused, not sure exactly what to do, don't be. God says, don't be afraid. I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. Now is the time for us to step into the arena and to stand as warriors for freedom and truth and fight.
There is a God, and as Charlie would say, it is not us. We're sinners saved only by grace in need of the gospel. You see, we always did need less government. But what Charlie understood and infused into his movement is we also needed a lot more God.
Charlie knew that we were all children of God. He knew deep down the truth of Scripture. And from that confidence, everything else flowed. That unshakable belief in the gospel led him to see differences in opinion, not as battlefields to conquer, but as way stations in the pursuit of truth.
Just some of what we heard tonight in a State Farm Stadium. Sochi, I wonder, when you reflect on everything that we heard today, what most stands out to you?
Well, I think that some about free speech, but I think that coupling free speech with what Trump wants to do to some of these organizations, I think some of that contradicts each other.
Shit. No, finally, they were saying something decent
Trump
about
wants to do to some of these organizations. I think some of that contradicts each other. And I think it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks. One of the things that Trump wants to use the Justice Department for is to go after organizations that potentially support Democrats. We don't know what lefty organizations he's talking about. As you mentioned, they were not involved in, there's no evidence that they were involved in the killing of Charlie Kirk, but he wants to silence these organizations. And I think that what we saw this last week is conservatives really speaking out when Pam Bondi said that she was going to start going after hate speech. And to be honest with you, targeting these organizations, targeting the media, all of these things goes at this free speech, goes at the First Amendment. And so I think it'll be interesting what Trump wants to do and how his base will react to it, because I do ultimately think that this goes after one of their core values and what Charlie Kirk cared about, which was going out, being able to have a debate regardless of, and with whoever he wanted, wherever. And what Trump's doing is the opposite of what Charlie Kirk stands for.
So then what would you say to that, Sir Michael? How do you bridge the gap as a conservative with people on the other side of the spectrum when you have the president giving, at times, a divisive speech like this tonight?
I think divisive is subjective. Personally, I'm just being honest.
Sure, but I'll be more specific. When he's talking about, we say the radical left lunatics.
Sure.
I think that's not going
We were talking
out
earlier
and
about
divisive,
investigating extremism, presumably the president was talking specifically about people on the left. I do think that we have an issue with radicalism in our country, and I'm not opposed to investigating why, particularly among young men, we're seeing more teeter in a direction that I don't think if you're Democrat or Republican, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, there you go. That's the devil talking. That's the devil talk.
Resolve that. That said, I think the through line, though, about Charlie's spirituality, his faith, being a Christian was really, really important. We talked a lot about revival being used by many of the speakers over and over and over again. And I think that was important in a lot of ways because what it signals to the individuals that were present, but also to many conservatives around the country.
By the way, another moment that is already getting a lot of play on Twitter is Tucker Carlson just straight up being like, Jews Jesus, and that's why they Charlie Kirk as well. Obviously, he didn't straight up say it, but he whistled in that direction as loudly as one can in front of a major arena like that. So a lot of people picked up on it. A lot of people picked up exactly what he was putting over there. Yeah.
Ultimately,
Here, let's
he
run
was
it
a
again.
Christian evangelist. And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth.
Also, people were laughing. Like the room was laughing. You can hear them, especially when the hummus line comes in.
Thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us. We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I could just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything is inverted.
He was also the only person that is like enough of a conservative household name that is anti-Israel that was allowed to speak at this memorial. Candace Owens was noticeably absent from the memorial stage, and apparently they said she was not allowed to speak. So, So this is the most Tucker could get across. Yeah, they didn't let the work wife take the stage. No, I don't think she was there. No, Candace Owens didn't attend because she was not allowed to speak, as far as I understand. Here's Jim Jordan.
Charlie Kirk, and he made a difference.
On Fox
I
News.
will never forget. I'm in Chicago raising money. This is like 10 or 12 years ago. Raising money from a guy, a Republican donor. We're talking, and he says, there's this new guy named Charlie Kirk. He's starting this organization. I think I'm going to help him out. I'm going to put some money into that organization. I think he's going to make a difference. What an understatement. That was 12 years ago, and he was right. He certainly made a difference.
Congressman, you're a leader in the House of Representatives, especially among the Republican Party. We just saw Byron Donalds and Rashida Tlaib go at it just a day ago. We can all sit here and kind of say what we think was to blame on that. We saw Erica Kirk say she forgives the man that killed her husband. We hear this idea that Republicans, and I have seen it today, have taken a stance of love rather than hate. What can you do? What can your peers do when you go back to work and you start arguing over government shutdowns and budgetary appropriations bills and everything else that's going to be argumentative? Is there anything you all can do that looks like the turn the other cheek message that we heard today?
Yeah, I don't think Trump was saying that, man. I think Trump was saying, show your ass cheeks to your enemies.
Start from that
and
premise,
shit
which I know
on
is
them.
where Erica started.
Poop directly on your enemies. That's what Trump was saying.
But when we have these debates, I mean, politics is not a wimpy game. You got to be intense. I'm all for that. Let's be intense. Make your best argument. Go at it. But there's a line you shouldn't cross, and it shouldn't get personal. It should focus on the issue. the debate, the facts, the truth. Stick with that. And if you do it in a compelling, articulate way like Charlie did, you get your point across. You got a better chance of winning the argument, carrying the day, winning the vote at the end of it. That's the right way to do it versus getting all personal and just back and forth, because the whole country gets turned off by that. Stick with the facts.
Exactly.
Stick with the truth. And frankly, as a member of Congress, do your homework. Do your homework and be prepared when you come to these committee hearings and you come to the debate.
That's exactly what Charlie did.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he didn't tell you what to think.
Sure did.
He just wants you to think. Let me ask you this, Congressman Kevin Cork, with you. The left, frankly, can't seem to unite against violence and hate. 58 House Democrats voting against a resolution just to honor Charlie and to condemn his assassination.
What does that even mean about, like, fucking violence, dude? These guys are they think they're so fucking sneaky, where they add the condemn political assassination on there, like they slap that on just so they can turn around and be like, it seems like 58 Democrats don't want to condemn political assassination. Shut the fuck up. It's a messaging bill, dipshit. We know why you said that. It's like, hey, guys, I'm pushing for a messaging bill. It's called Israel is the most important country on the planet. And also, we think that it's bad if people were dying under nuclear annihilation bill. Okay? Oh, if you don't fucking vote for this messaging bill, that means you want people to die under nuclear annihilation, I guess. Oh, sick, dude. I didn't realize it was like that. I had no fucking clue it was like that. Because I'm a fucking idiot. I guess that's what it must mean.
Condemn the shooting of 2 state lawmakers in Minnesota. And again, this sort of goes back to what Kayleigh was talking about. Yeah, we can really sharply draw a clear distinction between how the right is responding to an absolutely unjust assassination and how the left is now trying to say, well, but he said this, or I disagreed with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, what they said about Charlie, just everyone knows it's just not accurate, just not true. He was a gracious individual who presented the truth in the right way, and was willing to debate anyone on any subject. So, and then what she said about the assault on free expression, remember what they did during the Biden administration. Never forget.
Dude, what are you talking about? They don't have
governance
this
board.
There's never been this level of fucking direct assault on the First Amendment. The only time the Biden administration actually assaulted the First Amendment was when they were mass apprehending college student protesters against Israel, which you guys love, and you also accelerated.
We're assaulting the First Amendment? You've got to be kidding me. I mean, that was what they did during COVID to restrict what people would say, kicking people off the platforms by the Biden administration pressuring the big tech companies. Mark Zuckerberg sent me a letter, said Biden pressured us to censor. We did it. We're sorry. We won't do it anymore. So that argument is just not accurate in any way as the other things they said, mischaracterizations and untruths about Charlie.
Congressman, I want to thank you for bringing that up. As you know, this is Tommy Lahren here. As you know, I was personally targeted in what you were just describing, so it's very close to my heart. I believe Charlie was also mentioned in some of those, whether it be the Twitter files or whatever else. Speaking of that, we're also getting more information.
It's so funny that, like, the only time where there was any repercussions for Fox News commentators was when they knowingly lied about the integrity of the elections, and they were sued. It wasn't the Biden administration's doing. They were sued by the company, Dominion, that had the vote counting machines, and they lost a fuck ton of money. And in the process, a bunch of text messages were found in discovery showing that Tucker Carlson was, like, knowingly fucking lying. And quite literally, Fox News fired him. Like, that's it. That's the only time when these guys have ever experienced repercussions. And it wasn't the Biden administration. It was the corporation that was like, you're slandering us.
And the lawfare that was taking place and Jack Smith and all he's doing. So the good news is, and Director Patel, while he couldn't say this directly in the hearing, but it seemed to be the case that
there is not a single prominent Democrat Party leader or prominent Democratic Party politician or any Democratic Party politician whatsoever that hasn't condemned Charlie Kirk's assassination. I have condemned Charlie Kirk's assassination. I think, like, the only person that I could think of in an effort to be edgy that refused to do so, to make a larger point about how Donald Trump should be the one lowering the temperature, was Sex Pestany. That's it. Okay? And he wasn't even like saying that it was good that it happened, even though he implied it a little bit. But like he was making a broader point about how the fucking standards are lower for the goddamn president to lower the temperature than some fucking psychotic Twitch streamer or psychotic fucking YouTube kick streamer. That's it. Like he was making an obvious point in the edgiest way he possibly could. But outside of that, I don't know a single fucking prominent influencer, content creator, commentary person that's on mainstream news or even anyone in the Democratic Party at all that universally did not condemn this assassination. Of course they did.
Our parents had JFK. Our generation, Gen X, millennials, had 9/11, and I truly believe that the assassination and the work beforehand, but the assassination of Charlie Kirk is that seminal moment for this generation. I believe it will bring more of us together than it splits apart, even though social media has this immediate reaction element. The last thing I'll say is that I did a podcast with Mike Rowe the day before this happened. He asked me what scares me most right now, and after I sorted through some thoughts, I thought, I don't want to talk about what scares me most. I want to talk about what I'm most inspired by. And it's that we think all the time, what kind of world are we building to leave our kids? And I said to him, I would love to be able to think, what kind of world can our kids build? That's Charlie Kirk. That's how he thought. That was his message. And if we could all take that from him, I think we might all wake up a little bit more optimistic tomorrow.
I like that a lot. Isabella DeLuca tweeted something on X tonight, or posted on X. She basically said, I think what a lot of people are going to be thinking, and that is, no matter where you are, this is your opportunity to do something bigger with your life. It doesn't really matter how you got to this point or how you got to this place, but now you have a chance to do more with your life, and that's the lasting memory, I think, of Charlie Kirk.
I love that. In my reflection in a lot of this, I'm thinking, how can we engage in conversation? I hope the left, even if they just saw it in clips, even if they just digested a few snippets of Erica's speech, or they just saw a few things on social media, they might not have been watching our coverage, though I hope they were.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they saw how beautiful and how patriotic and how peaceful that gathering was. And I hope that it changes some hearts and minds. But then for me, my task and my goal is, how can I reach out to the other side? And how can I foster some conversation?
Yeah, there you go.
Because I don't hate the other half of this country. I don't hate the people that are, LGBTQ or Queers for Palestine. I don't hate any of them. They're Americans. I love them. And I want to figure out what way can I better speak to them and engage them.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. Even at the event, you saw Donald Trump and Elon Musk come together, sit next to each other and shake hands. And Elon Musk actually shared a picture of it on his Twitter and said, "For Charlie." So you see this happening. I couldn't agree with you more, Joey, about how important this moment is for my generation, Gen Z. This is going to be the moment that we remember where we were at when we heard that Charlie Kirk was shot. And I think about where we were at 4 years ago, and let me put on my pastor's daughter hat for a moment here. The idea of an explicitly Christian administration, because that is what this was. Every single cabinet member explicitly sharing thinkable even 4 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Think about where we are at this moment in our country. It's really profound.
Yeah.
All right, guys, coming up, we've got Trump calling for Pam Bondi to drain the swamp. Plus, she's back. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, by the way, that wasn't Trump. I don't think that was Trump demanding that Pam Bondi drain the swamp. That was Donald Trump directly demanding that Pam Bondi go ahead with prosecuting his enemies. And I think that was supposed to be a DM, and he foolishly just tweeted it out because he deleted it and then retweeted it again afterwards, like something a little bit more manageable. But there's some other stuff going on in the world as well that we must talk about, of course. Kid Starver, Keir Starmer, also known as Kid Starver, and Marks Carney, also known as Mark Carney, have come out with their own statements about the state recognition of, because they so often put DMs in tweets, be real, bub. I mean, I don't know why he deleted it. That's my suspicion. But even if he didn't, it's still completely unacceptable. Like, what do you think the contents of what he sent out is even remotely appropriate? Bub? What are you, fucking Wolverine? What the fuck is this bub shit? No, but actually, do you think it's appropriate for the president to direct the attorney general to to make haste in the prosecution of his enemies. That is, I mean, look, I know that these institutions are no longer sacred or anything, but there was a reason for why there was like at least an aesthetic separation between the DOJ and the executive office. Okay. Like, you can't have the president be like, guards. He's not a king. He's like, guards, gendarme, seize him. Seize him now. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, that was what that demand was. And some of you are too stupid, I think, well, the Republicans at least in this chat, are too stupid to understand that. You don't understand the implications of this kind of demand being made in broad daylight. Anyway, people calling this a meaningless gesture are wrong. It's actually way more like spitting in everyone's face to do this, while the RAF continues to provide logistical support and targeting data to Israel's racial extermination campaigns. Yep. Kid Starver could, at the very least, like, pull back, you know, on offering logistical and surveillance support to the Israeli extermination campaign. But of course, he's not doing that. Who knows? If he does that, then I'll take this a little bit more seriously. Same with Marks Carney as well. Marks Carney obviously not as involved as the UK is in Israel's genocide, but still very much involved as well with weapons transfers and whatnot. And both of these states have offered official recognition, well, conditional rather, recognition of Palestinian statehood. Be like Tommy, start a conversation with Republican chatters. I love talking to my hogs. I tell the mods not to ban them because I love them. I cherish them. Here, they're celebrating
against
the Pam
him,
thing.
including California Senator Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and former FBI Director James Comey. But Democrat Senate leader is calling out the Trump administration for investigating serious allegations.
I think it's a real threat to democracy, Dana. This is the path to a dictatorship. That's what dictatorships do. It is so very, very frightening and damaging to our republic.
Oh, the hypocrisy is thick. Joining us now is Texas Congressman Brandon Gill, who's also a member of the House Judiciary and House Oversight Committees. Congressman Gill, it's great to have you. I'm so happy to have you on this topic as well. You know, my partner in crime over here, Kevin Cork, has been saying, unless we're seeing people in handcuffs and zip ties, you know, we want to see these investigations actually result in some consequences. Sure. You're the perfect person for us to ask. Do you think that we're going to get an investigation that's actually going to result in somebody having to pay a price for what they've done to our current president?
Well, I think we are, and thanks for having me on. Listen, I think that what President Trump is asking here for is simply justice. He's simply recognizing that the entire administrative state was going after him during his presidency and after his presidency, trying to attack him, trying to ruin his life, trying to ruin his finances. You saw the entire legal system weaponized against him. You saw the raid at Mar-a-Lago, which eventually led, I think, in many ways to the assassination attempt against President Trump, as you saw Democrats across the country becoming more and more radicalized against him, partly because of these investigations. And listen, President Trump is saying, we just want justice. We just want to see accountability for what happened during the Biden administration.
Congressman, you're in the House of Representatives. You know, I always joke that you never stop campaigning because 2 years is such a short time now. We're coming into midterms. Do you feel like the Republicans in the House give up any collateral going into a campaign season if investigations become top line with everything else going on?
No, listen, that's what the American people wanted. Whenever they voted for President Trump, whenever they voted for House Republicans and allowed us to maintain the majority and keep the majority in the Senate, what they wanted was a government that was going to seek justice, that was going to go after wrongdoers and perpetrators.